What do you think about today?
I mean, every parameter is maxed out right around 6, 7 o'clock. So,
doing a show like Tornado Chasers is probably the hardest production you can do. You can't plan for anything. You basically have two forces of nature. You have tornadoes, which are violent and unpredictable, and you have Reed Timmer.
inflow, come on, shift northerly. Shift northerly. What do you got? What do you got?
He's a force of nature. He's passionate, and when he's passionate about something, he's unstoppable.
Go! Squeeze!
But I would have to say that I've just never met anyone as utterly head over heels in love with severe weather as Reed Timmer.
Woo! We are about to intercept the tornado straight up above us.
The guy will go 24/7 from the beginning of storm season till the end of storm season. And then as far as I know, he just sleeps for 9 months.
Yeah, I never get alone time. One of these days.
My favorite thing about Reed would definitely be his sense of humor. You know, he makes being on the road for a long time a lot of times tolerable. You know, even though that sense of humor sometimes might tick you off because you're trying to be so serious and you're trying to do your job, and you know, so it's a double-edged sword.
To love is to run the risk of failure.
Tonight, for you, Terry. It's our favorite movie, Terrence Malick movie. Reed watched this Terrence Malick movie with me, and it was too deep for him, and we had to watch a action movie after that.
I knew Reed in school. We graduated together. After we graduated, I took my meteorological knowledge and I moved towards filmmaking, and I studied filmmaking, and Reed continued in meteorology and chasing. For my master's thesis, I was studying filmmaking and documentary filmmaking, and I shot Reed and Joel chasing in 2003. And this documentary would go on to become the PBS documentary Tornado Glory. And that was my first experience doing that. And that was very exciting. I actually saw my first tornado on that production.
Look at that. Woo! Woo! Dominic! Here's the debris! Look at that, look at that! That is a 10!
So over the next few years, that actually got broadcast on PBS, and that was very exciting. And then in 2007, I spent the season chasing with Reed and Joel again, and that material turned into what is the short film Heaven's Rage.
This is the moment when instinct is battling against reason. Oh my God, you should look up.
That included the really intense tornado of Ellis County, May 4th, 2007, which was the same system as the Greensburg tornado. So that was a very intense time.
Jeez! Oh my God. You get caught by these trees?
So after that, he went on to do Storm Chasers, which I'm sure everyone knows and is probably familiar with Reed from his time on Storm Chasers, which was an exciting show. After Storm Chasers ended, you know, I was working on some of my own projects, and I was actually contacted by Reed and Chris Whiteneck. Chris Whiteneck is a brilliant cinematographer, director of photography, and he was director of photography for Storm Chasers, the Discovery show. And after Storm Chasers ended, Chris Whiteneck and Reed, they saw an opportunity to do an independent show that focused on the truth of storm chasing, like an actual documentary show where you're watching what storm chasing was really like. You know, while Storm Chasers was very entertaining, it was a reality show, and so you really didn't get that sense. The tornadoes they show might not be the tornadoes that they actually saw on that day. There's construction of relationships and rivalries and drama and that type of thing. And Chris really had the idea that, you know, storm chasing is interesting in and of itself. You don't have to make anything up. So in 2012, they started shooting Tornado Chasers.
We just almost hit a tornado here. Almost got an intercept. It's roping out. Next big one is on the horizon, so we got to get back east and north again.
They brought me in. They called me up after they had shot their season, and they needed an editor. So I said, sure, that sounds like fun. So I jumped in and helped them with the 2012 season of Tornado Chasers. And you know, we didn't see many tornadoes, but we were really impressed with you know, the authenticity of the show, and that we really felt like when you watch the show, that's what it was like to be out there.
That's an amazing tornado. Here we go. Hold on, we don't have the compressor. Slow down. We don't have the compressor. Woo! Get in the backside. Can you all launch? Go. Launch it. Put your seatbelts on. Oh my God, it's beautiful. Go.
You know, Chris Whiteneck, very much in demand throughout the entire industry, and he couldn't stay to run the show another year. And so, you know, I came in and stepped into that role for the 2013 season, and I was very excited to do that because I thought we really had a lot of potential. I had a gut instinct that maybe we were going to see some big tornadoes, and there were a lot of things happening that year that I thought were really exciting. For instance, Reed started his work with KFOR, so for the first time he was a live field correspondent for a news station. And in Oklahoma, that's very important. That Reed is, you know, he's not just doing this for fun, he's doing it to help people, you know, which is what he wants to do.
It's gonna be fun. It's storm chasing, like, you know, just for the sake of storm chasing and saving lives, and it simplifies things, and it's kind of the, you know, back to basics.
We also had a lot of interest from the Weather Channel. You know, there were rumblings that Jim Cantori, who's a personal hero of all of ours, was interested in coming out and chasing with Reed. So I thought that was extremely exciting.
Hey, it's great to have you in the vehicle, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's great to be here. Dude, seriously, I've always wanted to do this.
You know, we mounted our Kickstarter campaign.
We've got an expert team of storm chasers, an expert production team, and with your help, we could take our independent series, the 2013 season of Tornado Chasers, to the next level.
We really had a wonderful outpouring of support for this series, and I think we were all overwhelmed. I think we raised twice as much as our original goal to make this series.
That's why I'm excited to announce that with your support, Joel and I will join forces again and dominate the storm together in 2013.
You ready to have me back?
I think so.
Did you miss me?
I think you'll save my life, actually.
You know, that was interesting. Joel, of course, you know, if you saw our Kickstarter video, you know, he was interested in coming back too.
I'm actually more excited about chasing this year than I have been probably in at least 5 or 6 years.
That's something I was interested in having him come back and be part of it, because he had been part of all my other productions, Tornado Glory and Heaven's Rage. I always enjoyed watching him and Reed chase together, and you know, Joel's a good friend of mine as well, so and he was interested in coming back, you know, so I thought, oh, that's great, you know, at least for a few chases we can have Joel in a vehicle.
Oh my gosh, we're about to intersect.
There it is.
Joel, you got to point left.
I can't without blocking the whole road, Reed.
All right,
and we don't have
try
the
to
right
find a
do
place
that.
to pull in.
They can't see anything. It's going to be above the camera view anyway.
He came back, and you know, for a couple days, and but not being directly a part of what was going on in Storm Chasers, I really hadn't seen up close just, I guess you could say, the evolution of his and Reed's relationship.
This is not storm chasing anymore. Yeah, we're making mistakes because Reed's sitting there on the phone the whole time and he can't do anything else except see wall clouds everywhere. Everywhere. Like everywhere.
I watched kind of firsthand. I was like, oh, okay, you know, this is kind of not working out.
And I mean, I basically changed around my whole workday schedule so I could be here at 2 o'clock today, and then it's after 3 now and Reed's nowhere to be found. So I'm very frustrated, and I think a lot of this, same kind of things carry over into storm chasing sometimes, and you know, it saps a lot of the fun out of that just because Reed's not able to necessarily keep on track with stuff. He gets distracted too easily, you know, and as far as like character flaw, it basically implies that his time is more important than anybody else's, and it's got to revolve around him, and I just can't deal with that.
So, but you know, I think they both gave it a really good try, and I think though that Joel just kind of moved on, and that, you know, I would have loved it if Joel was, you know, part of at least a couple of the chases, and I'm disappointed that he wasn't. But at the same time, I think it worked out great for everyone.
I've got to kind of pick and choose the best days. The days that looks like there's a decent chance at tornadoes at least, and so as long as we can work around that, I think we'll be fine.
We got Dominator 2 and Dominator 3, see? Look, it's Dominator 3. A little high profile.
Towards the end of March of 2013, we started gearing up for production. We were very lucky to get Chris Whiteneck back for the chase season as our cinematographer. We had a really great working relationship. He's very particular. He's the best in the world. He's the most experienced at what he does.
Same old story. Sit out in front of Reed's house for like 2 hours. Everyone else gets here, Reed's still sleeping. We sit around and do a bunch of prep work, then Reed wakes up, changes everything. Chasing Reed for 5 years. My hair has receded at least an inch since I met Reed.
We brought in a new shooter producer, Jason Bagby, who this was his first season chasing tornadoes.
When you see them chasing tornadoes on TV, you're not prepared for exactly how chaotic and exciting and an adrenaline rush it is. In my head, I guess I thought that was, part of the show or something, but that's exactly how it is. Just everybody talking at the same time and.
Damaging tornado about
this is incredible. We're being littered with debris right now.
This is not good.
We are being littered with debris right now, guys.
We're about to get
Watch
hit
out,
by
guys.
debris.
Windows up.
Down or what?
Windows up.
Drop down or not? Drop your window down.
Happens so fast, you don't even really have time to put everything together until hours after it's done.
It was nice having Jason around because he's a professional. If it wasn't for some of those professionals being around this year, it would have made some of our jobs a lot harder.
We were very lucky to have him, as a third shooter producer this year, because he was really in a position to get some very rare footage that was very important to the series.
When I'm not on camera, there's a whole list of things I'm doing. I'm a graphic designer, I edit video, I can work on the Dom if we have to, organize equipment. Sometimes those even come down to like Reed's babysitter, like waking Reed up in the morning or doing his laundry or mowing his lawn.
Reed? Time to get up, dude. Cantori's gonna be here in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, usually I have to wake up Reed like 3 times throughout the day. This is only the first time. We'll see if he gets up and stays up or if I have to go back in and wake him up again in another 10 minutes. I'm kind of like, in other jobs, I guess you'd call it like the utility guy.
Terry Rosema is also kind of the father figure. He's the guy with the head on his shoulders a lot of times. He's the guy that's keeping the Wilder cast members in check. The voice of reason sometimes.
Look at the car. It's trashed. Mad at you.
All a man wants to do is told that he's right and told what he wants to hear and thank for his time. And I'll do that for Terry. I love the guy.
It's like working with kids.
Great guy, Terry, and I'm always glad when he's there.
Let's run up to the top of this hill.
This is what I'm talking about right here.
Not only would he shoot tornadoes, and you always saw him, shooting throughout the series, and he got some of the great shots of the entire season, especially the multiple vortex of the El Reno tornado.
Oh, horizontal!
Every night, and he would do this every night, he would be responsible for taking all of our cards, all of our footage and media, labeling everything. It was, it's not very glamorous, or sexy, but he was a great benefit to this production. So for cameras this year, we used the Canon C100, which was a relatively new camera, and we were excited to use it because it was compact and it's very unobtrusive. It's easy to kind of sneak into conversations and cover people, and just it has a wonderful picture quality, so we're very excited about that.
Typical day for me entails getting there before the cast, prepping all the gear, the cameras, the microphones. I am checking the shots on the GoPros that we mount in the vehicles. Technology has made it wonderfully easy for me to look at the image that the camera is seeing on my iPhone instead of trying to fit my eye in between these two things right here. Just boop, 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 good to go. Making sure there's tape and batteries and everything, and that you have everything you need when you leave that you could possibly need, because once you leave, you don't know where you're going to end up. It could be Nebraska, it could be Texas, it could be South Dakota, it could be Louisiana.
I didn't bring any clothes. I'm gonna have to go to Walmart and buy clothes tonight if we don't come home, but.
Well, you know what happens. You say, oh yeah, we'll be back tonight, and then next thing you know, we're in northern Nebraska.
And so when you have a budget that's so small, you really have to double, triple, quadruple up in terms of your job duties. And that was probably the biggest challenge, is we really had to bring in people who were very good at doing multiple things. Chris Whiteneck, brilliant. He's a shooter, producer, cinematographer, audio man, all in one. Luckily I had a background where I could be shooter, producer, executive producer, editor, and work on all these jobs. Jason Bagby, luckily, came from a number of shows, so he could be a shooter and producer for his vehicle.
Being a shooter producer is a pretty big responsibility. It's essentially wearing two hats at the same time. Not only do I have to worry about getting the best image, best audio, and the best video I can, but I also have to be conscious of what's happening around me, who's saying what at any given time.
Sweet. All set, yo.
And in this show, what a producer means is someone who can foster conversation. You're not creating story, but if you're watching something unfold and you need to do an on-the-fly interview, the producer can step up and ask, Reed, how do you feel about this? Or, Reed, let's do an educational beat. Tell us what's going on in the sky.
It feels murky, feels humid out here. The air feels thick. But then just above us, probably 5,000 meters in the air, it's minus 12 degrees Celsius.
The way this production worked was each shooter producer would have their own Dominator, or they'd have their own vehicle. So everything that happened in their vehicle was their responsibility. Chris Whiteneck was shooting Reed and Sean and Jim Cantori in the first car, and Jason Bagby was shooting Connor and Terry in the second car, and I was shooting Kevin Barton, Ray, and Bill in the third car. So we'd each cover our own story in the car.
Trying to coordinate between 3 cars and 3 people, especially when there's a tornado on the ground, is utterly difficult. It's extremely loud, and it's extremely fast, and there's no time to stop down and take a minute to say, you do this and I'll do that. You have to be absolutely a pro at all times and never let your guard down. When everything hits the fan, it's all focused on the tornado. Especially when a tornado's on the ground, you don't have a second chance. You have to get that. You have seconds to get your shot.
I'm not thinking of anything at the time, but making sure that shot is as centered as I can get it, and as perfect as Ken or anybody else in production would want it.
And so you need people like Terry and Mike Scantlin, who are also shooting the tornado, to make sure that we have all of that covered. So you as the audience don't miss anything.
It means we're getting rain out here again. At least a dent's getting put in the drought. Definitely my backyard. Probably grow rice back there. I haven't been able to give the Reed Timber guarantee out in a while because there haven't been too many guarantees. But Sunday through Wednesday, I guarantee we'll get a tornado intercept, depending on who's driving.
It was interesting because we started production in early April, and everything was very slow from a weather perspective. We didn't see any tornadoes. So it was the beginning of April, then it turned into the middle of April, and no tornadoes.
Oh! Wait, hold it up. Hold it up.
That's bigger than golf ball, isn't it?
Then we got to the beginning of May, and we had the unveiling of Dominator 3, and which was exciting with the helicopter at KFOR. And
Channel 4 Storm Team right there. How cool is this?
in that scene, you'll notice the blue skies, just clear blue skies, and that's exactly what it was. It was, you know, very quiet, very long tornado drought.
Hey guys, I'm here with Reed Timmer from TBN, and you know, as chase days go, Reed, we came up a little on the empty side today.
We did, but you got to be used to it as a chaser because busts happen more than you see something. And yeah, this is definitely unusual, and we're shooting for the record in Oklahoma, I believe, for a record low for tornadoes.
You know, then it got to the next week, and we had Jim Cantori come out, still no tornadoes. And, you know, so Reed and I had a feeling, and a number of us had a feeling that at some point things were going to turn around and things were going to get very active from a tornado standpoint.
Dick's getting soft, Cantori's getting soft, I think Sean's getting soft too. I think you're definitely getting, you've been soft the whole time, Hollywood.
You know, we were a little nervous though, you know, we were like, we wanted to deliver, you know, the best season of storm chasing ever, and it was just nothing, you know.
I've been tired for about 2 years, so it's kind of frustrating, but at the same time, tomorrow's a moderate risk day and he's got to be dialed in for that.
So Terry, this freak, this storm freak.
Where am I looking?
His first name is R. His last name is T. His last name starts with T. Reed Timmer. Some people call him Weed Trimmer. A lot of people label him as reckless. You're following him into the finger of God, the finger of hell, as Cantori called it.
Yeah.
Do you trust him, or are you just letting it rip?
I don't know. Would you trust a guy in an orange hat like this?
My safety hat. Right now we're safe.
Yeah, all joking aside, I would say, yes, I do trust you.